Hey everyone, welcome back to another Whatnot reselling related video. Today we're going to be discussing setting up for a specialty show. I call these specialty shows, they are shows where maybe it's what you normally sell, but it's a little bit of a niche in what you sell. So for example, I obviously sell books for all ages, but I also have holiday books like Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and those are really big sellers for me, but I don't typically like to sprinkle those throughout the year too much. I just kind of stick them to the side. I'll show you guys here what it kind of looks like. This is my storage for my holiday books, and I have overflow onto the shelf over here. However, I want to do a show as it's halfway to Christmas, Christmas in July. So this July 25th, I'm going to be doing a Christmas in July show where I'm going to be showing my Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas books. A lot of people love to get their holiday shopping in early, and a lot of people celebrate spooky season and Christmas all year round. Basically, what I want to do is take you guys through the process of how I would go about taking like a niche item in my store and in my inventory and prepping it for a Whatnot show. I want to walk you through the sorting, the prepping, the listing, like how I'm going to go about actually selling everything. For those of you guys that know, I do a lot of bundling in my shows, and I am going to be doing that in this show. And so I want to show you how I'm going to set my show up for the most success and to get the most eyes on the products that I have so that I can maximize my sales and try to make as much money as possible in this show in July. Some of you guys might sell clothing, and maybe you come across a large assortment of wallets or handbags and you can't turn down the deal and you want to go ahead and do a show with just those items. This would be a great strategy for you. Similarly, if you sell really anything and you come across a bundle of something or a lot of something and it isn't necessarily typically the things that you sell and you don't really want to sprinkle them in, and you feel as though maybe you could garner a better audience of very niche buyers who want to buy just those items. So this is going to target people, for me, who really want to buy Halloween and Christmas books at this time of the year, maybe at a little bit of a cheaper price than they will be when that holiday comes around. Another thing with holiday books I just want to mention, as well as if you are somebody who sells items or are finding niche items that are very specific to a time of the year, like maybe you find a bunch of jackets. Obviously, for most of the country, those are going to do well going into the fall and the winter. Whereas if you found a bunch of swimsuits, those are going to go well, starting closer to the beginning of the year going into spring. So knowing when to sell these items is really important. But one thing I want to mention is the reason why you want to sometimes do these specialty shows way in advance from that holiday is because people like to prep in advance. There's a lot of people that want to buy swimsuits in January and February when they're stuck in the house and thinking about that cruise maybe they're going on, or summer, or the vacation they're planning, and they're ready to start buying. So these are really good ways to offload stuff way before that holiday actually arrives. Because in my past experience with Christmas books in particular, I noticed that once December hits, the Christmas books definitely slow down in sales. After the first week of December, I'm selling very little Christmas books unless there's somebody who's buying just really last minute. But for the most part, I notice a lot of like Halloween buyers. They're not buying the week of Halloween because those books aren't going to get to them by Halloween, and the holiday will have passed. Then the books will arrive and they're not really relevant anymore. So keep in mind, if you are doing specialty shows that have like a time frame associated with them or a season associated with them, that you're doing them a little bit further in advance than the actual season. So again, with the swimsuit example, don't start selling your swimsuits in June. You probably want to start selling these in like March or April, okay? Let's go ahead and get started setting up for this specialty show. I'm going to show you my first step processes, and yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, first steps first, I want to go ahead and pull all of the books out. You want to get everything out onto your floor or in your workspace so that you can truly see what you're working with. I also am going to grab the books over to the other side that I showed you I have overflow on. Holy moly, that is a lot of books. It actually looks like so much more once it's all pulled out than it did on the shelves. That is insane. All right. So we have all of our inventory pulled out, right? Now this is my next step. This is what I would do if I was putting together a specialty show, is I would go ahead and start organizing these books in two categories. I want obviously Halloween and Christmas separated, but I want to organize them between like picture books and board books, right? And maybe specialty books like these little storybook collection type things. I have some cookbooks and I do have some adult Christmas as well. So I want to go ahead and separate these into like those two general categories: picture, specialty, board, and maybe chapter books for adults. And then while I'm doing that, the second part is I want to make sure I'm putting together duplicates. So there are books that I'm going to have duplicates on, and I want to make sure I have those together. So that way, if more than one person wants a book, they're not fighting over one book when I have 2 or maybe even 3 copies available. And if you are not doing books, obviously you just need to figure out what it is that are the categories you need to divide your items into. Maybe you want to divide your items into items that are like new or brand new with tags, or items that are in good or fair condition or have mentionable wear, whatever it might be. Here is everything all organized. So basically, again, the piles I did were duplicates. So these are all going to be like duplicate Halloween, picture Halloween, activity and cookbook other Halloween. This is a very small pile of Thanksgiving. And then we have smaller and larger board books for Halloween. Then the same thing for Christmas. We have our like activity, Christmas, puzzles, cookbook type things. These are not picture books. Then we have our picture books. This is our stack of duplicates. You can see there are a lot of duplicates in this stack. There's one book I have 5 of. And then we have our smaller and larger board books, as well as the little chapter books set to the side here. So now that everything's organized, the next step is going to go ahead and be figuring out how you want to sell these items. So for me, I know that what I want to do is I want to set these into more organized piles. I want to take photos of every book that I have, and I want to make individual listings inside of my auction tab that showcase all the books that I'm going to have available for sale. So that means I want to lay out the picture books and take a flat lay photo of all of them. I want to lay out the board books and take a flat lay photo, so on and so forth, and then organize them by category. So in my auction tab, my listings are going to look like, you know, Christmas picture, Christmas board, Christmas specialty, Halloween, picture, Halloween board, Halloween specialty, things like that. And then the books that I have duplicates for, what I was thinking about doing is either listing those in the auction or the buy it now, and they can just be purchased in multiple quantities, and I can do one listing and I don't need to worry about showing those books per se. But that's the next step, is deciding like, how do you want to sell? Do you just want to do random pulls of all of these? Do you want to say, hey guys, look, I have a ton of stuff and I'm going to do random pulls? Do you want to showcase it? Do you want to have people make requests? It's really up to you how you want to run those shows, but that's going to be the next step in preparation, is just deciding how exactly you want to sell all these items. Individual listings, set listings with just a bunch of photos for requests, random pulls without pictures. What's your strategy? I'll go ahead and try to link a video up here. This is a video I think I just did within the last couple weeks about bundling and kind of what that entails and why it's important. I think I have 2 of them, so I'll pin 2 different ones because one I think goes a little bit more in depth about why bundling is important versus another one going into like what one you might prefer. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with making a listing for these Thanksgiving books. Since this is the smallest little selection we have, I'm going to make a single listing. Go ahead and pop into our screen record and show you how that goes. And then I'm going to continue screen recording and kind of show you how I would go about like listing these things into these individual auction listings. So if you're curious how people have that kind of stuff listed, like pictures, for example, in my auction tab, I'll have girl themed chapter books, and then I'll have all my girl themed chapter books pictured. That's just so people can make requests. It's not a listing for them to buy them all. It's just a listing so they can see all of the books that are on this shelf here. Okay. So this is just a way for you to not have to spend as much time going through every single book in a show. You can still go through the books individually, but you're at least giving the buyers an opportunity to see all of the inventory you have. And that's just how I prefer to set my shows up. You, of course, can do individual listings if you wanted to list these books individually and run them as an auction, or if you wanted to make little bundles, which I did play around with. Since I have so many duplicates, I am playing around with the idea of maybe I'll make like a little starter bundle, like one book of each of the duplicates and sell it as like a little bundle. So I might do that maybe with the Christmas stuff, but we'll see when we get there. Let's go ahead and pop over to the screen share and show you guys how I'm going to get these into our store. This is our show scheduled. You can see July 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I do already have a little preview photo in there just to tell people like I have a ton of books. Come and shop. All right, so when I click on the store in the bottom right hand corner, there's nothing in here. I don't have anything listed. So let's go ahead and get started by clicking this plus sign in the bottom right hand corner. And we're going to click create quality listing. I very rarely use the create temporary listing or import from inventory, if not ever. So I'm going to use the one in the middle, create quality listing. Now I am on an Android, so it may look a little different if you're on an iPhone, but it's very, very similar overall. All right, so let's go ahead and start at the top, add photos. It's gonna pull up our photos. So we're gonna go ahead and take a photo here. Now, one thing that's weird about Whatnot, I'll kind of show you an example. This is one thing for me on Android. If I take a photo kind of like this, like I wanna get all the pictures in it, do you see how when it loads up, you see on the bottom left-hand corner how it's cutting off part of it? If I click complete, do you see how top of those books are like kind of cut off there? I'm not sure why. It just makes you need to be like a little bit more out. I'm not sure why, but if you're a little more out like this and take the photo and then click complete, do you see how now you can see everything in the photo? So I do like to be a little more zoomed out when I'm taking those pictures. Just a little tip, new and used books is the category, and the title of this one is going to be Thanksgiving / fall board and picture books. And then all the descriptions are going to say make requests at any time is one word. We'll do exclamation point, and I'm going to copy this so I can just paste it into all of my description boxes. Again, I'm skipping all of these. If you've seen my listing videos before, we skip those. Quantity is 1, and it's going to be listed in the auction, and I'm going to have the starting bid at $1 because all of my categories are going to have books, maybe except for the board books that are $1. All right, shipping profile. Again, we're never running this, so it does not matter. You can list it as a 50-pound bundle. You can list it as a 1-ounce bundle. You're not going to be running this listing, so it doesn't matter what you put in for the shipping profile. Obviously, the show is selected there. No hazardous materials, and I don't need to worry about those optional fields. So I'm going to go ahead and click publish, and it'll show you what it looks like inside of the store. So now I've got a single listing people can click on and view. Okay, these are the holiday fall books that she has available. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and create another listing. Let's go ahead and move these off of the table. Let's go ahead and create another listing, create quality listing and add photos. And now you're gonna see I have Halloween activity books up here on the table. So again, kind of getting a nice large overview. It's okay if there's a little other things in the photo. It's really not that big of a deal. Nice overall view. It's not fully in there, but I think it's good enough. And then we'll take some up close photos. We'll do a couple little photos here and here. And people can always request to see those more up close. Same thing, used photos. This one is going to be Halloween activity and other. And then same deal, we're going to paste make requests at any time. We're going to keep it in the auction. We will start these, I think we're going to start everything here at $2. And then shipping profile, same deal. It just doesn't matter what you click because you're never running this listing. Publish. And now we have our second listing in there, Halloween activity and other. All right, so we're going to continue on with that. I'll show you guys a couple more here, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I have my store all set up. Now, again, you may want to do this differently. You may want to make individual listings. That is totally up to you. Let's start off with our picture books here and get kind of a zoom out so you can really see as much as possible in that first image. And I'm having a hard time because there's books in my way here. I should probably move them. And let's see. All right, that's gonna do. It's not gonna be great, but is just what it is. And what I'm doing is just moving these books off the table now. And I have some more I want to set up. Show you guys what that looks like. I like to separate my books into size order and try to get like, you know, really just maximizing the space. So sometimes putting the books from largest to smallest is really helpful. Again, let me move these out of the way. These are actually in the way. I'm not able to get a good stance over here. Okay. Now, same deal here. In fact, you know what I'm going to do since we have that first photo? I'm going to do 2 photos here just to really highlight what's available. In fact, I probably should have taken some up-close photos of those other ones, but most people are pretty good at being able to look at the photos and, you know, make their requests. A lot of people judge books by covers. They see something, they like it, they're going to get it, or they're going to ask me to see it up close. Because these are not listings for books, you know, that I'm trying to sell as is and really give you a good detailed listing. These are books that I want to just show you I have, and then you can make your requests. Some nice little square books here, which are great. This one has a little bit of wear, a little bit of bending on it. I think we can probably get all of these in here. Perfect. I think that'll be great. So yeah, we got all those in there. And these are going to be all Halloween picture. So this is Halloween picture. Make requests at any time. We're going to do starting bid $1 because there are definitely some dollar books in here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you me setting up this last little bit of Halloween board books. And then I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up since I think that's a pretty good gist of how I would do it. Another strategy I did just want to mention is the idea of doing pricing. Like, so putting all of your books by pricing. So taking all of your $1 books and taking a photo of it and going, these are all of our $1 holiday books. You could do Christmas and Halloween combined. You could separate them. $1 Christmas, $1 Halloween. You could do $2, $2 Christmas, $2 Halloween, $3 Christmas, and so on and so forth. So people know exactly how much books are. But the reason why I'm not doing that in this show is because a lot of these books are just going to be a set price when I start the show. Board books are going to be $3. Small square books are going to be $2, and larger books are going to be $3 pretty much across the board. I might have a couple $4 books, like some of the larger cookbooks and things, but other than that, I'm going to have kind of a set pricing. So that is why I'm doing it that way. Just wanted to explain that. But let's go ahead and do the board books here as well. Also, if you have sound books, you want to make sure that they work. Just press a button. Just make sure that they play the sound all the way through and that they do work. All right, let's see if we can get that glare off and also get a good photo that encapsulates everything. Everyone's going to be wanting that Spider-Man book in the back. And then we have one more to set up. All right, and I'm going to do just those 2 photos. I think they do a good enough job showing what is there. Board books, and these are going to be $3 each. I'm just going to go ahead and say it on the description. Starting bid $3. Again, shipping doesn't matter. We're not running this listing. All right, so let's go ahead and see what our auction tab looks like now. We have these 4 listings in here already. And I'm going to go ahead and do the Christmas versions of everything, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. And I'll tell you what I decide on the bundling or the duplicates, how I want to list those. So here's everything now officially kind of put to the side and organized. Everything here is photographed. So I'll go ahead and put that here so you guys can see how I have it divided up. It is just separated between Christmas and Halloween. And of course I have one little Thanksgiving category. I also made a small Hanukkah category. I have 2 Hanukkah books. And then it's just picture, board, and activity books. And then I also have the Christmas adult books. So now that that's done, I want to go ahead and do this, which is the things I want to put in the buy it now. So this is just a single item I want to put in the buy it now, but everything else here is a duplicate. You can see I have quite a few. So I want to list these in the buy it now with multiple quantities, and people can just purchase them from the bin. And if they don't get purchased from the buy it now, I will clone those over to a future show. And in all my future shows, I'll have these available. I'll stick them over here in my buy it now section, and they'll just be available throughout the year, especially as holidays do get closer. I'm sure people will snag these up. Everything is now officially listed. I have these listed as a quantity listing. I'll go ahead and show you guys those here. You can see just went ahead and listed them. I did list one of these as a bundle. It's a lot of 6, and they're just duplicate books that I think would go really good for like a toddler, baby, intro, like holiday books. Other than that, everything's listed. So everything is set up here. That's the prep part, right? That's the main organizing, listing, making your decisions on how you're going to sell everything. That part is kind of finished. So now when I go to do my show, obviously people can see everything I'm going to have available in the show, which I think is really helpful for buyers. It really encourages more sales because they can see all of your inventory. It's like they're shopping in a store. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I go shopping, I don't always like to buy just one item and head to checkout. If I see multiple items, I'm very much more so encouraged to get everything and then head to checkout. Personally, I just don't always like buying something, especially online with shipping, for just 1 or 2 items. So being able to see everything available and seeing if that's a show that I want to shop in is really important. When I actually start the show, I will have in my show notes pinned up explaining how the pricing is going to work, that most of my books are going to be between the $1 and $3 mark. I have a couple books that are $4, but most of my things are going to be kind of a set price, and I'll have it explained in the show notes, just breaking down what types of books are what price range generally. So as people are making their bundles, they kind of know how much they are, going to be paying for it. Now, when I'm showing the books, it's going to be very similar to a traditional show where I have stacks on the table. I will obviously be pulling requests, but I'm also just going to be going through the books one at a time, showing them, showing the insides of them, and taking requests. If people like them, if more than one person's interested, I'll run it as an auction. And if only one person is interested in the book, I'll just put it to the side into a pile for them until they are all set to cash out. So it should be a pretty quick show. I don't see this show being longer than like an hour or 2. I think 2 hours would be probably like the max that I'll have to spend on this show. And then again, anything that doesn't sell will go on the shelf. And then now that we are going into the holiday season, I will include in my regular shows every Tuesday and Saturday a listing with those holiday books so people can make requests throughout these next few months as the holidays are approaching. And then everything I listed in the Buy It Now will just be cloned over and be available in the Buy It Now at any time. So that is the basic setup for doing kind of a specialty show. It really is just organizing everything and seeing what you're working with, figuring out how you want to list it in your show as pictures for previews, pictures for auction, or all random pulls with no photos. Do you want to do a mixture of Buy It Now and auctions, one or the other? It really is up to you and how you prefer to sell on Whatnot and how your audience prefers to buy from you. And then you just do the show and of course ship everything out once you're done, and voila, you've offloaded and moved a ton of inventory, especially if it is niche and not in your regular model. You've made some money, you got it moved, and you can move on to your regularly scheduled shows or onto things that maybe bring you a little bit more money in your Whatnot business. So that's how I would do that. That's how I'd set up a specialty show. I hope this was helpful. If it was, definitely hit that thumbs up button. It lets YouTube and me know that you liked this video. If you have any requests or comments, drop them in the chat below. I always like to take video requests for possible ideas. So if there's anything that you're struggling with or you have questions about, let me know below. And I will catch you guys next week with another Whatnot and reselling related video. Have a wonderful week until then, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.